folks, we are going to continue asset production for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we've been building. We're working on creature and ship tokens. Give me a second here to check my signal. Sounds like a signal to me, yo. Okay, great. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I just posted that I am live on Twitter. So hopefully I'll see y'all here in a second. Give me another moment here for me to punch all my signals across the Discords so that I can let our peoples know that we are doing what we do. Hold on, I'm fixing the screens. Cool. All right. More Spelljammer tokens. I'm new. I'm Phil. I build assets for DMsGuild to supplement D&D games and products. If you check down in the link down below, you'll see a slew of books that I've already built on DMsGuild. You're certainly welcome to purchase them if you like that. If you're into MTG and D&D crossover stuff, but most importantly, it's a proof of concept. When I publish a book, it's visible cover to cover for you to be able to read the whole thing, to decide for yourself beforehand if this is right for you, and if it is, then purchasing is certainly appreciated. That bundle happens to be at 35% off. But more importantly, again, we produce a book, we build assets for it, we publish it on DMsGuild. You get to watch the whole thing being created here on YouTube streams, and YouTube doesn't really like that form of format. It takes a long time to build a book. It's not punchy and quick. So to help me continue growing, if you could like and subscribe, that would be grandly appreciated. Just trying to show people what it is that we do. So what are we doing today? We are continuing production of assets. We built a Convoy. We have some scavers here: brown scaver, night scaver, gray scaver, and a void scaver. We have the Convoy that we created. Here's the Convoy that we had created. So we're going to create some more just stuff. We're going to create more stuff today. So let's make more stuff. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of. We had a. No. Let's see. Where do I want to go? And close that down. Here is the document that we are currently having edited by Adam Hancock. Thank you, Adam. You are amazing. Waiting for the thing to catch up. There we go. Zerax's tactics. Here's the playtest content that's being converted for Light of Zeraxis, the revisions that will be included in the book. We had our Omama chase today. They finally caught her right around over here. They ended up hitching her with a bunch of ropes. They did damage. They put her to sleep. They got her with ropes. They ended up slamming her into the rocks by basically dragging her behind the skiff at ridiculous speeds and just splattering her against the rocks. So that totally worked. It was really funny, actually. So let me see. I want to skim up here to see what other creature tokens we're going to need. Here's how to design random systems. Here's towing ships, unnatural beasts. There we go. Space Guppy. We just want to do assets for all these things. So Space Guppy is next on the chopping block. So I'm going to go down here to critters. Grab this for color reference. Windows, tools, black, white. Let's go. Death Swan. There's a, as you can see, there's a slew of different creatures that we have listed here that have specific properties because of modifications that we make to movement in general in the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we've been producing. So, oh yeah, here's the cover. And if you haven't seen it yet, here it is. Bloop, bloop. The giant saw blade, I love it, or sword blade as a ram versus tentacles. It's great, fun stuff. I think Starmoth should be equipped with slashing rams. I think that's just cool. Allow those ships to engage in melee combat. Just add a ram. Always add a ram to your ship. Something like that. What volume is it in that? It's a little sharp. There you go. Playtest went well last night. I mean, it was very simple. Just chase down a shark and, you know, kill it. But it went well. So, bully. Get to move forward with keeping that in place, relatively unchanged. The only thing they need to do is make sure it's not too complicated. Hey, Ozzy, how you doing, man? There. This is a Space Guppy token. Space Guppies I don't think are high in demand in the game, but we do mention them in the document as an example of unnatural creatures that can develop in wild space for folks to encounter during their game. So since we mentioned it, we should include it. Merge down. So when you're colorblind like me and you don't see what you're working with, you want to grab images as references so that you can steal colors up here in the RGB section. You see, they can provide me with the information that I need to be able to produce color work. So I'm going to grab that color and I'm going to zoom a little bit, take a look at this guy. Interesting. Huh, now so I want to check around and make sure there's consistency with these colors. Yeah, see, it switches to blue out here in these fin areas. That's a little tricky for me to keep track of. It seems to only be... Yep, it's not really consistently present. Alright, we'll start out here. That feels like a decent base color. Yeah, alright, so it looks like that's our base color. Yeah, it went well. It's I mean, it was pretty simple. It was just chasing scavengers on a skiff and shooting at it and whatever. But they didn't have any they didn't have any ranged weapons. There was only had 2 people that were able to attend last night. So and neither one of them brought a ranged weapon. So they ended up having to ram the shark and the bard that was present used sleep. Once they did enough damage to it with ramming, they would turn around and take a snap at whoever it was that was on the skiff, and then try to run. And the team caught up to it, put it to sleep, lassoed it with a rope, and then high-speed craned into a wall so that the ship would take, or the shark would take falling damage from high velocity falling, and that finished the job. So it went well. It was a creative solution. I thought it was really funny, and it certainly wasn't boring. So it was successful. It was very simple. I mean, since there was only 2 of them, we weren't able to use a Void Scavenger against them because that was a CR 11 creature, which is too much for 2 second level characters to take on. But we used a brown Scavenger on this one, and the damage was just right. So yeah, huge success. Absolutely. The mechanics all work. It's just a matter of what different challenges do we get to keep and get rid of for the since this is expanding on and converting Lazaraxis into the Spelljammer mechanics that we have in general. We just wanted to make sure that the skiff worked well, and the skiff did work well, and that it was an appropriate encounter to keep for, you know, filler content for the Lazaraxis if you're into that campaign. And this was, I feel, sufficiently fun fodder. So it only took about an hour for the 2 of them to finish off the Scavenger. So that was a decent little side deal. And yeah, smash success. Thank you. The skiff that they were using didn't have a ram, so every time they tried to do a ram attack, they would deal damage to themselves as well, to the ship. So that was a fun aspect of it. Then deciding if they wanted to wreck the boat or take damage themselves while they're trying to deal damage to the shark also. The mechanics behind ship hit points is every 50 feet worth of ship is 100 hit points, or rather every 5 feet of ship is 10 hit points. So if you have a skiff that's 20 feet long, it's got 40 hit points, and those are treated as temporary hit points that stack onto whomever the pilot is. So in this instance, the pilot was a fighter, and so the fighter had 76 hit points, and so while piloting the ship, the fighter would have effectively 116 hit points. But every time the ship took damage, the pilot has to choose if the vehicle will take damage and they'll repair it later, or if the pilot will take the damage directly, and then that damage can be healed as hit points by crew members or whatever on board, like second wind or whatever. So it's a little bit of a meta approach. Like it's extrapolating the idea that hit points aren't literal wounds, but it's more like grit, And so by when your ship is taking it, because getting your shipwreck sucks, but taking hit points of damage in combat is just burning resources, because ships take a long time to repair. And so if you're in a heavy firefight with another ship, or if you're fighting a giant creature that's capable of damaging your ship, it's difficult to. It's like a lot worse to have your ship damaged than your character damaged. So the way we developed it was that you have this while you're focused on maintaining concentration on the helm. That's the words I'm trying to use. Is again, you can boy, words are eluding me. You can choose to take damage. So like if you're flying a damsel fly that has like 70 hit points, and then you take a barrage of fire from like say a couple catapults, and you take 30 damage. You can choose to have that 30 damage applied to. Actually, the wasp would have more like 112. Or damsel fly would have like around 112 hit points. So if you take like 30 damage from catapults, that's a lot of damage that your ship is going to take. You can't take a lot of that before you lose your ship. So instead, the damage would damage from catapults is in 10, so it's like a d8 times 10. So like it'd be like say 40 damage. But instead of the ship taking 40 damage, the pilot would take 4. If their skiff that they're riding on in yesterday's adventure, it takes 41 points of falling damage. That's not siege damage, that's direct damage. So they would then take 41 damage themselves, which might be more than they're willing to take, but they could split it up between like 20 and 20, for instance. It's like 20 damage to the pilot and then 20 is still taken by the ship. So you have that extra buffer that allows you to have like multiple ship combat, like you would have multiple creature combat in a normal dungeon. So that's what the system is designed to do, is to allow you to approach ship combat like literally as you would creature combat, either like in a dungeon, like in the case of an asteroid field, or in normal wilderness adventure combat, like you would if you're just out in the void. Wish my car worked that way. Roost instead of flat tire. Exactly. Well, that's the magic. That's the magic of Spelljammers. So that's how you do. And then the same mechanics work for Infernal War Machines and Descent and Avernus. That's where we originally developed it, because the trucks couldn't take a lot of damage. So that buffer systems, and then once Spelljammer came out, it was just easy to float it over to the Spelljammer ship mechanics instead of vehicles, and it's just bigger. Spelljammers are at the 50-foot scale, while Infernal War Machines and creatures are at the 5-foot scale. So there's it just scales up by 10. Siege weapons deal times 10 damage, like a ballista does d6 times 10 damage. A mangonel does d6 times 10 damage, and a trebuchet does d8 times 10 damage. So, and it's pretty simple, but then the issue is how many are being shot at. Like a lamprey. Your typical lamprey ship has 4 ballistas on it. So if a siege commander, if a character using the siege command role opens a full silo of full silo of weapons against you on a hit, it's going to be 4d4 times 10 damage. It's like d4 from a ballista doesn't seem like a lot, but like a night spider has 3 ballista and two catapults, so you could fire two barrages there, one doing 3d4 damage times 10 and the other one doing 2d6 times 10 damage. It's going to average around 120 damage per round that's dealing out, and that damsel fly we were talking about earlier is going to get just torn apart in no time. So having that hit point buffer for your pilot is actually really important. So it keeps you from losing your ship, man. So that's actually really important. And a 5th level character with 60 hit points can only take so many. Like that 120 damage would be reduced on average down to 12 damage. But if your pilot only has 50, 60 hit points, then you can only take 4 or 5 shots like that before your character is almost dead. Now you have to start burning hit points. You have to burn cure spells to keep your pilot from dying. So And of course, if your pilot loses concentration, like if you get every time the pilot takes damage, they have to make a concentration check to make sure that they don't lose focus. And if they do, then the ship is temporarily disabled. And so an enemy ship can attempt to hit with a silo, see if they disrupt concentration, and then deal more damage because you can't defend the ship unless you're maintaining concentration. So if your concentration gets knocked out, your ship is going to take direct full damage, and there's nothing you can do to mitigate that. So you have the support role, the pilot role, the support role, the siege commander role, and then the squadron commander role are the 4 roles that you have. So if somebody is playing the support role and is maintaining concentration on an orrery that's mounted to the ship, or also has focus but not piloting the Spelljammer helm, they can use a reaction to take damage for the pilot if the pilot either can't take it, asks for it, or if the pilot's concentration has been disrupted, then whoever the support character is can take the damage while the pilot regains focus on their turn. So it's a way for you to mitigate some of the damage. And so if you're fighting 6 or 7 ships, that's a ridiculous fight to be in. So there's going to be a lot of instances where you could be losing your concentration, and your ship's going to take a beating for it. Anyway, ramble. That's just talking mechanics, It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And I should probably have a timer going for me to keep track of where I'm at. Oh boy, it's only 6:45. That's awesome. Let's get a 20-minute kicker. Grab some water real quick. This stuff in. I don't want to get too detailed with any particular token, otherwise all the other tokens will seem wrong. But I'm liking this fin effect that we're working on, so hard to say no to it right now. I'm really looking forward to doing the walkthrough on this. So we develop the text, And now we're working on visual assets while Adam is working on the edits. Once the edits are done, we put it into layouts. Once the layouts are done, we do page dressing and interior art for pages that need it. And once that is resolved, then we publish the book, and then I get to go back through and get to do a page-by-page walkthrough of the book here on stream, kind of as a victory loop, as a victory lap, but also just to walk through the supplement for people to, kind of get like the director's commentary on it, as it were. I'm very much looking forward to that. What's the creature drawing right now? This is a space guppy. It's a small beast. It's an unnatural creature that's an example of the type of creatures that can exist inside a wild space system. And so here's the rough supplement. We have a section here about how creatures are modified, like the Convoy we had done. I'll drop this out real quick and take a look at. Like here's a Convoy that we did last time that we were here, right? So Convoy, I don't need to do the actual stat blocks in here because they're still relevant stat blocks from D&D Beyond, but we do have comments about them because these creatures can grow to be 100 feet in size. The following revisions assume the Convoy occupies a 2x2 space at the 50-foot scale. Otherwise, use the stats from Boo's Astral Menagerie. So in combat, they can move 10 squares with each move. They can travel up to 10 million miles per day between worlds, and they don't require air, food, or drink to survive, but do require light. As a bonus action, Convoy can dash or disengage, and as a reaction, Convoy can pace a ship or creature attempting to change scale during movement. And then action is tail, the melee weapon attack, 50-foot reach. Hits one target, deals on average 20 damage, d4 times 10, bludgeoning damage. There you go. Pacing is when you're changing scale from like the 5-foot, 50-foot, 500-foot, 1 mile, 10 mile. Since a ship can move 10,000 miles per round, or 1,000 miles squares, times 10 is 10,000 miles per round. You can ramp from being very, very slow, moving at 5 feet, to basically pace and like hand off things back and forth to each ship, like from one ship to the next, or to hop from a ship onto a creature. So if you're trying to close distance to that 5-foot scale to be able to have ship, jumping from ship, like characters taking actions on the ship onto the Convoy, they would have to zoom in from 500 foot to 50 foot to 5-foot scale. And if the Convoy is afraid and trying to run away, then as a reaction, when your ship zooms in to that closer scale, the Convoy can use a reaction to keep pace, so that while you're trying to close distance, the Convoy is maintaining distance, so you pace the ship. So unless you're using a disengage action to allow your ship to slide in and close distance or open up distance easily, like disengage skips opportunity attacks, right? You don't get attacks opportunity for movement when you disengage. You also can't pace something when it disengages. So by any ship or any creature that's capable of fantastic speeds, they can do this pacing so that they can maintain the relative distance that they have between each other as something speeds up or slows down in magnitude of speed. So you can't effectively have a combat where each square is 1,000 miles per square. It's just ridiculously fast. But when you scale into the 500-foot scale, that's within melee weapon. That's within siege weapon range. 50 feet is within siege as well as normal ranged weapons, and then 5-foot scale is obviously within melee combat for characters jumping from ship to ship. But you can also operate at the 500 then to a mile, 10 miles, 100 miles, and then max speed is 1,000 miles for Spelljammer ships. And so you can operate at the same squares, it's just you're changing the magnitude of scale that you're moving at. So if you're like in a chase where both ships are moving at 10,000 miles per round or 1,000 miles per square, if they're maintaining speed with each other, it's basically a chase. So it's a matter of making piloting checks to close distance while you're still moving at this incredible speed. You can close the relative distance from we're about 10,000 miles apart to we're about 1,000 miles apart to we're 500 feet apart to we're 50 feet apart to only a 5-foot step away from each other. You can still, while maintaining this massive speed that you're shooting through wild space through, you can still reduce the scale instead of just static and hanging there motionless in space like you might if you're picking up an object. If you're in a chase, the speeds are still relative to each other. I'm still moving at 1,000 miles per hour or whatever, but you're closing the distance or opening distance to be able to engage or disengage from weapons and different type of jumps, if that makes sense. Like if two ships are moving at the same speed, you can like cars, you can jump from one car to the next, like Mad Max style. You're still doing that at spelljamming speeds. It's just the background, like if both ships are moving at the same speed relatively, they're still. There's no other objects within 1,000,000 miles of you if you're moving 1,000 miles per hour. It's still the same. You may as well be still. Like if they're both moving at that speed, it's going to take forever for us to close. It's going to take a whole day for us to close distance with that moon or whatever. So while we're doing that, it's just a relative. It's just how far are you away from each other relatively. So thank you, because I'm struggling with words today. But that's why we hire an editor to help make sure wordsmith's good and all the blah blah. So hopefully the book's gonna turn out okay. And Adam I trust, is he does good work. You'll recognize him from Orc and an Elf Had a Baby. As well as Balduran's Guide to Kingdom Building. I think those are probably his two biggest hits so far. Plus, all-around good guy. Let's look at the Space Guppy specifically. So a Space Guppy is a small swimming creature with the unnatural nature feature. In combat, Space Guppies have a move speed of 10 squares. They can travel up to 10,000 miles per day between worlds. That's not a very long distance, by the way. That's per day. Let's see, they can create an air bubble for themselves and a tiny rider indefinitely. If a Space Guppy touches the surface of a spherical gravity object, its flight speed drops to 0 and can only crawl along the ground with a move speed of 10 feet. Has the prone condition and is treated as though it has the poison condition until somehow it escapes the gravity of the object. As a bonus action, a Guppy can disengage. As a reaction, a Guppy can pace a ship or creature attempting to change scale during movement. So let's see, 10,000 miles. 10,000 miles per day is 1,000 miles every 2 hours, is 100 miles every 10 minutes, is 10 miles every minute, is 1 mile every round, which means it has a top speed of 500 feet squares per round. So I should actually make a comment about that. So they can keep up. They can. So 500-foot scale is siege weapon range, because like a trebuchet at most has like a 1,500-foot reach, which is like 3 squares away at the 500-foot scale. So that is an engagement or a combat range that a guppy could, like something that's riding on a space guppy could engage with. But if the Spelljammer ship, 500 1 mile per round or 500-foot squares, that's the maximum range for combat. But a ship can move so much faster than that. So if this space guppy is really pissing your ship off, you can just increase your scale of movement from 500-foot scale to 1 mile-foot scale, and the guppy can't keep up at all. So unnatural creatures, small unnatural creatures like this, can't do anything to keep up, like at all. But like lunar dragons and like aesthetics and scabbers can move much faster, so they can actually keep pace with stuff. I need to go through and add that block into these things. what their maximum velocity is. Like if you do 100 million miles per day, that means that you can do 10,000 miles per round, which means that the square that you're moving through at most is 1,000 squares, or 1,000 miles per square. But like a Scabber, for instance, or a Kandori can only do up to 10 million miles per day, so it's 10 times slower. So the maximum scale they can move per round is 1,000 miles per round, or 100 miles per square. So they just move a lot slower, which is why you would want to have a spelljamming ship in the first place, because they go so much faster than any creature that you could lasso. Unless it's like a dragon or something. Dragons can do 100 million miles per day. Cosmic horrors can do 100 million miles per day. But you're unlikely to lasso and use a cosmic horror as a mount. I can see scenarios in which that could happen already, and I'm kind of excited about those ideas, where you've got a boss that's, towing his death sleigh with 12 cosmic horrors, throwing coal at kids. Cthulhu says you've been bad. A little ridiculous, but I kind of love it. Challenge accepted. Hold my stein. Here we go. I love this painting over style. It just feels so I don't know. I like it. Just makes things look pretty. Just like that. This is the one. Just like that. Again, don't see any color, so I'm pulling references as I need to be able to pick out the right color to use. This is on the mouth, for instance. Yay, timer! Let's keep it up. Large central eye. smudge that purple into the eye. Hats off to the color palette for whoever it is that created this. Cheers to you. This sounds fun. Almost done. Yeah, so far so good. Thanks. So far so good. Now what I gotta do is just drop in some scales and we should be good to go. Move on to the next piece. I don't want to get too crazy with the scales. Yeah, screw it. I'm going to skip the scales. I'm going to go with some highlights instead. There. Bam, fish token. And we'll go Color. White. I need to do one last little detail. There. Verge down. Space Guppy. Bam. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Just a random token. Yeah, success, man. Huge success there. Dory. We got some scavengers that are hidden away. I think that's my favorite one. Now I got the Space Guppy, so that was an hour. It took us an hour to do that. I can't complain. I think that's good for today. So we're going to I'm going to go ahead and cut stream and just take care of myself a little bit better until I get over my sickness. So there is that, and I'll drop you into the references. Let's see, it is the weekend, so tomorrow Saturday we'll be doing more stream. We'll have Eberron. We'll continue with Eberron cartography tomorrow, and we'll have a couple hours in the morning, like I think at 11 a.m. EST for maybe a 2-hour block. We'll do more cartography, and yeah, and then we'll be back on Monday. We'll do next thing. Let's see, where are we at? So we have the Space Guppy. Next thing we'll do is Solar Dragons, and we already did the Scavers, and then Burger Comets, Megapede, Lunar Dragon, Kindori. We already did Kindori. So what does that mean? We got Solar Dragon, Murder Comets, Megapede, Lunar Dragon, Aesthetic, Cosmic Horror. That's it. So you just got 6 more creatures we gotta deal, and then our creature tokens will be resolved, and then we'll be able to swap over and start working on the Spelljammer ships. So tool up here through all the hoobly doodly 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 doodly. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So you got 21 ships to build, 6 creatures and 21 ships. So we should be able, if at this rate, we should be able to produce a new token every hour or so. So that'll be our morning stream for a while, and I'll probably end up building a slew of these offline as well, just to expedite things. But I'll finish the creatures next week, and then probably next Saturday we'll do a ship jam to knock all these things out. So I think within 2 weeks, all our token production. Well, we also have to do Topola, as well as Space Elves, Space Princess. Space Elves, Hadozi. GIF. Yeah, it's like maybe five NPCs. Hey, Hornetico, I'm wrapping up the stream early today, my man. Thanks for helping with the playtest last night. That thing was awesome. So yeah, 21 ships. We have another 6 creatures, about 5 NPCs, and then that'll cap off our tokens. Then we'll be able to come back around and colorize the Citadel of Light, the asteroid field for the Neogi chase. Then I think we're almost done with our assets. There's not that many that we have to worry about. So I think we should be able to have our asset production finished probably. Oh my god, I've got the week off between Christmas and New Year, so I'll definitely be able to get all the ship assets done during that time frame. Probably finish the maps for this as well. I want to do an underbelly for the Light of the Zaraxis Citadel of Lights, because that just makes sense to me, because you can go on either side of it, top side, bottom side. So there should be both. Probably in the next couple weeks, we'll probably have a play test for the Citadel of Light. We did a play test for that a couple months ago, but we want to do another one. So I'm thinking after folks get done with holidays, the first week of January, we should be able to do a Citadel run, and I should have the maps ready. Yeah, the maps will be good to go for that. So yeah, first week, I'm going to aim for January 5th will be the target date that I'm looking at for doing the squadron attack on Light as Araxis, the Citadel of Light. Yeah, and that'll be 8th level characters. Yes. 5th to 6th, 6th to 7th, 7th to 8th. Yeah, 8th level characters. That's where we'll be sitting with that one. So anyway, all right. So that's what I'm going to call it for the stream today, and I'll be back on in about 24, 25 hours to do more Eberron map, and I'll show you where the Eberron map has gotten to so far, and that we'll be continuing on with from here. Thanks, man, and thank you. Yep, here's the map for the Citadel, for the topside fortress so far. As you can see, I got all the grit done in the outlying area and the grit on the interior area. So I just want to fix up how these rocks are being expressed. And we've got to do this corner up here, and then this map will be done. And then we can perpetuate that same patterning down here into the tunnels, and then we'll work on the underground laboratory using the same texturing process that we have now. So now that we've established all this was by far the most difficult map to do because it has all the pieces that we need inside of it, like all the different textures and stuff like that. But now that this thing's over, I mean, I think that looks pretty damn good. I think the texture grittiness really helped lock in everything really well. So we'll finish this up. We'll work on this some more tomorrow morning, and then the following week we'll be getting into on Monday night and Thursday night we'll be working on the underground area and getting that finished off. And I also have a village to build, which we have rust for. So we're making progress. We're moving down the road. So everything's falling into place nicely. Yeah, I will see you guys on the other side. Thanks so much.